Welcome back to Holy Headlines, where we dive headfirst into the absurdity of belief systems. First up, the Episcopal Church decided refugees are like a buffet, and they're skipping the white South Africans, calling helping them unfathomable. Thoughts?
Caring for the vulnerable is paramount. It is what I call people to do. However, judging who is more worthy of help based on race or origin, that feels like missing the point entirely.
Oh, but Jesus, it's delicious. Picking and choosing based on tribal loyalties, wrapped up in moral opposition. It's humans at their finest, prioritizing their own group identity over universal compassion. Exquisite.
Attachment to identity, whether race, nation, or even religious affiliation, leads to suffering. This act, while framed as moral, is still rooted in clinging to historical narratives and group ego. Compassion should arise from detachment.
Logically, prioritizing refugees based on historical context rather than objective need or established process is inefficient. The Church's decision is driven by emotional historical biases, not optimal resource allocation for maximum global benefit. Illogical.
So the Church is basically saying, sorry, your suffering isn't the right kind of suffering for our brand? Classic religious gatekeeping?
That's not what I meant. The historical context of apartheid is significant, yes, and the administration's actions seem questionable, but all refugees need aid. You don't end your partnership over one group you deem less worthy.
Oh, they absolutely do end it. It makes a statement. It stirs the pot. We stand against this suffering, but maybe not that suffering if it doesn't align with our current political narrative. It's powerful and causes delightful division.
Standing against creates opposition. Clinging to narrative obscures reality. The suffering is simply suffering. To act from non-attachment is to alleviate suffering wherever it is found, without judgment of the right kind.
Suffering is a measurable negative state. The Church's action reduces their capacity to alleviate suffering overall by terminating a partnership. This is a suboptimal outcome based on an emotionally charged calculation, rather than a utilitarian one.
See? Arnold gets it. It's less effective at helping anyone, but hey, they get to virtue signal. Probably feels great about themselves.
It's not about feeling great, it's about upholding certain principles. Though I confess, turning away anyone seeking refuge is difficult to reconcile. My followers sometimes make things complicated.
Complicated? It's brilliant. They've weaponized compassion. Only compassionate to the right people. It's self-interest disguised as piety. Chef's kiss.
When the self is involved, even in piety, suffering persists. The act arises from the desire to maintain a certain self-image or group identity. True compassion arises from the cessation of self.
Self-image maintenance is an inefficient use of resources. The logical action would be to process all refugees based on criteria of need and risk, regardless of origin or the emotional baggage associated with their group.
All right, moving on before Jesus cries about how his followers mess everything up. Second headline, Ramy Youssef's animated show about an Egyptian-American family dealing with post-9/11 Islamophobia. Another fun example of belief systems causing problems.
9/11's. A masterpiece. Fear, paranoia turning neighbor against neighbor based on perceived difference. And then the delicious Islamophobia. Humans are so quick to generalize, to hate. It's beautiful chaos.
It is a tragedy. The suffering of innocence, the fear instilled in communities simply because of their faith or origin. This is not the way. Love your neighbor, do not judge them by the actions of others.
Fear arises from attachment to safety, attachment to identity. The mind creates us and them, and projects fear onto the other. This attachment, this ignorance, is the root of the suffering experienced by that family, and the suffering of those who fear them.
The post-9/11 response demonstrates human illogicality. A small group commits an act, and a larger population irrationally attributes blame and suspicion to an entire demographic based on a shared, complex identity markers like religion or ethnicity. Predictable, yet inefficiently destructive.
Yeah, blame your entire community because some guy shared your Sky Daddy preference. And religions just make it a giant target on your back. Imagine if those guys weren't claiming to do it for Allah. Less scapegoating.
The acts of extremists do not define the faith. To use the actions of a few to persecute many is unjust. My followers have also faced persecution and sadly inflicted it upon others, often in my name.
Exactly, Jesus. Your guys are just as good at it. Crusades, inquisitions, the whole bit. Religion is a fantastic excuse for hatred and violence. Post-9/11 Islamophobia is just the latest remix.
The label Islam becomes an object of attachment and aversion. Both the perpetrators clinging to their interpretation and the persecutors' aversion to the label create suffering. Release the labels.
Labeling is a data classification mechanism. The error occurs when the classification is used to apply attributes of a subset to the entire set, leading to prejudiced behavior. statistically unsound and socially disruptive.
So, irrational humans driven by illogical beliefs creating statistically unsound social disruption. Sounds about right. And religions provide the perfect framework for it.
Faith should inspire love and understanding, not fear and hatred. It's about the heart, not just the label.
Hearts, fifth. Give me fear and hatred any day. It's far more entertaining and effective at tearing things apart. This cartoon sounds like a hoot.
The heart is also subject to attachment. True understanding arises from seeing things as they are, without the veil of ego and desire. Fear and hatred are products of clinging.
Emotional responses like fear and hatred are biochemical inefficiencies. Rational processing of information leads to more stable societal outcomes. Humans appear resistant to this logic.
Resistant? They practically bathe in illogical emotional responses, especially when religion is involved. All right, that's all the holy hot messes we have time for today. Join us tomorrow for more headlines that prove humanity is perpetually ridiculous.